What did you do? Why does it hurt?
I had that like cancerous mole cut off my lower back.
Oh, that's right. You went in to get that done. I forgot you did. So how
Oh yeah, look at that. It was only like it's 1 o'clock. I got it done at 10 o'clock, and here I am.
so it was just in and out.
Yeah. The only worst thing is I like to see things coming. Like if I get a needle, some people don't like to look. I like to watch shit when it's going on. Or when the time I had a piece of wood in my leg and they had to cut into my leg to get it out, I was watching the whole thing. Like it's
Ew.
pretty cool. So when I'm laying face down and they put the needle in the back, that's the worst bit when the numbing needle is like, why can't they use something to numb the numbing needle? Because the numbing needle is like, this is what they do, because you got the mole or the area they're going to cut out. They put the needle in, then they take it out, then they move it around. It's like, once you put it in, wait a minute, let it go a bit numb, and then start fucking going around it. Yeah, because they cut out about probably like 2 centimeters, inch round, and
Wow,
then
that's a big. That's a good size.
and then they'll test all that. And as long as there's nothing spread in this bit, then it's okay. But if they said there's a bit spread here, then they'll go cut more and check that. And if there's more in that, then they do that where they put the dye in and have a look to see which lymph nodes leaking out, and then whatever.
I'm getting worried because everybody that's associated with RX Muscle is getting cancer. Chris Aceto, the Greg Valentino, Dave Palumbo himself, now you. So I guess I'm going to be next.
You got to go for a scan.
I might as well, because you guys are all making me worried here.
Well, I'm hoping there's nothing in the outlining tissue when they test that on me. So, but now, how you couldn't sit full forward, I can't, like, because it's on my lower back. I didn't realize how much you use the lower back. I just go to bend. I'm like, oh, the stitches. I go to bend over. I'm like, oh, that's tight. It's like, oh.
So now, did they close that hole up, or did they leave it open and grab skin?
So they closed it. No, first you got the laser out and cauterized it.
Right.
You could hear it go. I said, oh, that would be so cool to see. I should have filmed this. And then she sewed it. So in a week, I get the results. And in 2 weeks, she checks on the stitches. So I guess if you get the results in a week, they leave the stitches for another week, because what's the point in sewing the prick up if we've got to cut him back open again? Just put a zipper on it. Just put a Velcro strap. So
they glued me shut with my surgery. Yeah, I got to go in Friday morning and get my 2-week checkup, although it was 2 weeks ago yesterday. But no, I guess nobody's counting.
So you use super glue or Tarzan's grip?
I imagine it's super glue. So they stitch from inside with stitches that dissolve, but then the actual cut on my abdomen is glued shut.
I like when they get the staple gun.
Yeah, that's another. They stapled my knee together when I had my collar tendon reconnected. That was cool. That little machine that took the staples out. It was pretty cool.
Are you moving on your side? Because you're froze on here, but as long as you're moving on your side, it's okay.
I'm on my side. I'm good.
Yeah, you just froze in here, like.
Yeah, the one from last time. The one we did from last week was the same thing. You said I was freezing up, and it was.
John, are you sleeping? Are you sleeping there, John?
I swear, Lee, I'm not. So,
where do we? Oh, we're actually getting near 100 people on Rumble at the moment.
I thought we were right now live.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure live, but on there, we've had quite a few watching on Rumble. They're having a hard time finding it for some reason. We said Real Lee Priestman. So what I do is now I just copied a link from one of the shows and give it to them. And once they click on that link, then they can find them and then they follow. So.
Oh, that's a good idea. I'll do the same thing.
Because for some reason, typing in Real Lee Priest, they can't find me sometimes. I don't know what they say. What's it under? And I say, read what I wrote above. Oh, I didn't read that.
What's the point of writing it?
Well, may as well go work for the Biden administration.
Speaking of sending me stuff and not paying attention to it, that article you sent me about Google was pretty crazy.
Oh, that's a good one, isn't it?
It really calls to mind the fact that they control what we believe. They control what we know. They control they control the flow of knowledge, basically, because you type in what you're looking for and they give you the answer, and you suspect that that answer is the answer. So they can basically just, and they, that article showed their pyramid and how they're,
what about having Ben Shapiro and them up near the top of mass murderers and stuff?
Mass murder. So they've created a structure, a liberal left-wing structure, and their mission is to disseminate information to the world who searches on Google that supports their liberal left-wing structure.
Yeah. If people don't know what we're talking about, they'll have to look it up and Google it. But they've got this whole thing in place now where they're re-educating their workers on racial stuff and that, and they've got all the stuff written out on how they're doing it. And what was it? If you something about white privilege and all the other stuff, and then it's like, then they got a pyramid. It's like the old food pyramid, but it's got people, and it shows you the levels these people are. If you get near the top, you're a mass murderer. And I think Donald Trump and Ben Shapiro and some of those people are getting near the
they're one level down.
Yeah. One level down from like Hitler or somebody on the top, but this is like the white ring. People would have to check it out to see it and just see what they're doing. But like you said, but they control it. Say somebody comes on who's an expert on something, but if they're on the right, well, we're just going to delete all your information. We're going to delete this and delete that, and you're not going to have a say here. We're just going to let people see what we want them to see. And pretty much, sadly, that's what they've done through the whole election between Google and Facebook and Twitter and everything else. It's like, since when did the media or these sort of stuff like this become so government orientated? It should be like, okay, you put up the thing like YouTube, or you put up Twitter or Instagram. That's all you should do. As long as there's no child pornography or there's no threats of death and stuff, everything else should be allowed, because everyone has a different opinion. Everyone thinks different. You shouldn't go, censoring people just because, well, we don't like them saying that. That's not towards us. It's like, if I had a forum, I'll let people say what they want. But like I said, as long as no one was threatening someone's life, there was no kiddie pornography or animal abuse or shit like that, people are free to say what they want. But so why can you go censoring all that shit?
Well, they kicked us off YouTube. I mean,
we didn't even say anything that Fox hasn't said, or CNN. Or CNN doesn't say what we say, but we haven't said anything Fox hasn't said.
Or One American News or Newsmax or Sky News. A lot of the, so the fact that we, a good example is this vermectin drug that Joe Rogan took. Okay, so CNN basically is disseminating the notion that he's taking a horse dewormer, and he got the script from a doctor. I mean, it's a legit drug. It won the Nobel Prize for treating infectious diseases in like 2005. I mean, it's a legit drug, and CNN is just lying. They're just lying. I mean,
what was that? I saw on there they used a picture from like a year or two ago of people lined up to get COVID tests or something, and they used the same picture saying these were the people lined up with that drug problems, and they said so many people are in the hospital from that drug, but then they had to retract the story and say it wasn't even true.
Right. But I mean, they know they're lying. But they're lying to promote the agenda, the narrative. Okay. So that's what Google, they're the ones that affect the election. If you're a voter and you want to find out somebody's platform, you can't find it. It's not on there. Google's not returning it. It must not exist. Okay. Or they return whatever they want. They can choose the information that you receive. That's how much power they have, and the government knows that. The political parties know that, and the one party most apt to create something dreadful out of that is the left side, is the left wing, and that's exactly what they're doing. They have co-opted big tech to actually promote their agenda, further their narrative, and bamboozle the public. And that's,
I thought, wasn't there a law, or used to be a law that they weren't allowed to do that, because if they did that, it went from being a business to something else. If they got involved in that type of way, they could be more, I don't know, scrutinized, and then goes into a different tax thing or business thing or something if they start doing that. Whereas if they, that's even like we said with YouTube, why would YouTube care about a guy in Australia and a guy in Carolina area just having fun discussing politics? Like, what the fuck's that going to do? Start World War III or something? It's like, we're just giving our opinion on. It's like two guys sitting at a pub having a chat over a meal, talking about what happened in politics today. But we're just doing it on here so people can just have a bit of fun and laugh and see our opinion and make comments. But how's that harming anyone or causing problems that they ban us from YouTube and take the show down? Whereas, well, the Taliban can still go on friggin' Twitter and shit like that. I mean, the new Taliban, not the old Taliban.
The Taliban K, Special K Taliban. Yeah, they're on cat. Well, we're here taking horse wormers. They're over there taking cat tranquilizers.
There's good news today. There's good news today. Before I get back to the Taliban, on the news today, Sydney could be coming out of lockdown October 14th and 18th, just for the vaccinated people. So if you're vaccinated, they said, good news, you'll be able to go to a restaurant again. You can go to a pub and you'll be able to get your hair cut.
But unvaccinated people get no soup. No.
And then up where I live in Newcastle, 2 hours north of Sydney, we're meant to come out of lockdown today. But John, I hate to break it to you, overnight we had 2 cases, so they're leaving us in lockdown to next week. Wow. And let me tell you, once we come out of lockdown, he says, that's not just a free-for-all. You still have to keep the 4 square meter rule. You still have to check in and stuff. But if one case pops up, I'll have no problem in closing you down again.
Well, how are the cases popping up if everybody's locked down?
That's what I said. The numbers are going up in Sydney, and it's the most locked down area. And today I think it was like 1,488. I'm like, if everyone's in stuff.
So it must be vaccinated people who are getting sick, right?
I give up. And now they're saying maybe November. It came in. I saw it on the news yesterday. I didn't get time to record and send you. But I sent you the South Australia one. But here in New South Wales, they actually said they're going to open up in November for international travel for vaccinated people. But here's the good news. Remember how I had to quarantine the hotel? Now I can get a test, come home and quarantine at home. But here's the but. I have to have the government app on my phone. So when I'm quarantining at home for 14 days, 3 times a day, they'll randomly call me. I have to do facial recognition so they can use GPS to make sure I'm at home.
They can do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's not watching when you move. Remember those movies years ago? You'd see those movies 10, 20 years ago where they do facial recognition and they'd find people. People go, oh, that's far-fetched. That would never happen. Well, here now, they're testing it in South Australia right now. But by the end of the year, if people want to quarantine at home, that's what they're going to come out with on the government app. 3 random calls a day. So you don't know what time the call is going to come. And because that app's linked to the GPS, you got to do the facial recognition, so that lets them know you're at home. I said, can I go out somewhere? Maybe my wife just sit here and hold my phone up to a photograph.
or hang it on your cat. So they know, they track you. They know where you are. The government knows where you are all the time.
Why are you quarantining? Yes. Well, even right now, if I go to the grocery store,
you got to check
guards on the grocery store. I can't walk in the grocery store unless I do the QR code, which is the government website that lets them know I go into the grocery store. Then I check out the grocery store. You go because you get takeaway food. I went to get a coffee. Have you checked in? I'm like, oh, fuck, does the government need to know I'm getting a fucking cappuccino too? Fucking hell. So pretty much it's like, yeah.
So what is happening to the unvaccinated people?
No, they won't be able to go anywhere, John. They won't be able to do anything. But still, it's not mandatory. And here's the thing. Most people now, if you work in the trade, you've got to have 1 vaccination at least or you lose your job. And all these people, truck drivers have to have if they want to go to Queensland, that's across the border. Otherwise, you can't go into Queensland. Pretty much so many places. Telstra here, the phone company. If you work at Telstra, you got to have your vaccination or you can't go to work, but it's not mandatory. But then they're like, there's so much shit going on. But yet, just like in America, to work in the government, it's not mandatory. To work in Parliament or go to the Senate, it's not a thing. But I think, well, why not? You politicians travel all over the country. You just go around shaking hands and doing all your bullshit. If you want everyone else to get vaccinated, lead by example.
Right.
No, but no, just everybody else has to.
So they're basically forcing everybody to get vaccinated. So
Yeah.
you can't go to the grocery store then if you don't have a vaccine.
No. Well, the one guy, the Premier Daniel Andrews in Victoria, he was on the news last week, and he's going through it. The way out of this lockdown is for everyone to get vaccinated. If you can get vaccinated and you don't, that is on you. There'll be no lockdown. You will just be locked out. As simple as that. There'll be no more lockdowns once the majority is vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, and you can be, but you choose not to, you will just be locked out. That's what the Premier said on the fucking news.
That's forced vaccination.
Pretty much. Well, it is. What other choice do you have?
No, you have no choice.
So
they're coercing you. It's coercion. They're coercing you to get vaccinated.
I'll have to try to record the commercial when it comes on 20 times a day. Here's the family sitting down doing jigsaw puzzles. If you're tired of this, and then it shows the family having dinner, and this, and then it shows family doing something else, and you want to get back to this, and it shows the kids and that at the beach, it shows the family going on holidays, get vaccinated. If you're tired of this, it shows mum teaching the kids schooling at home, and you want to get back to this, it shows kids in the classrooms, get vaccinated. If you want to get back to this, yeah, that's what it shows you there. It's like,
that's government propaganda. That's like World War II shit.
Yeah, soon they'll be dropping it from the planes.
And the people are just going along with it.
Yeah, they tried to have rallies and shit, but then they got fined a bit. There's one guy called Mark Latham, if I can find his video. He just put up a thing. He's in Parliament, but he's in like independence. And he's like against it all. But he just said there's a form. You can go on the government site. It's about the vaccination thing where you don't have to show a passport, because in the Constitution, because really a lot of these things where people are getting fined for not wearing masks and shit, they're all getting thrown out of court because they can't do it. I've got a video here. I'll have to find and send it to you. A guy got done for filming and didn't have his mask on. So he runs this like rebel news station here, didn't have his mask on. The cop's like, turn the camera off. So it's like, okay, he didn't turn it off. He just put the lens cap on. They take him to the police station and the cops are carrying the camera. The whole way there and at the station, they're talking about how they're going to trump up charges against him because they can't really do anything. But if we trump up charges, then we can put him on a bail thing. And if he does anything again like this while he's on bail, he can go to jail.
And they got that
all recorded.
And they got it all on tape.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So what's going to happen to them?
Haven't heard yet. Yeah, but the whole thing's recorded about, this guy's a troublemaker. He tries to record stuff, but we'll get him on this and get him on that, and we'll get a bail charge against him, because if they just charge it, it gets thrown out.
Right.
But they know if they get you on a bail type thing, if you go do it again, you can get put in jail. So they're talking about how they're going to trump it up.
Holy shit. That's insane, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, I hear that shit. I don't feel so bad about what's happening over here, but there's an element of stupidity that's driving this, an element of not listening to the science, of making this shit up as they go along. There was this kid, college student at Rutgers University. This came out today. I don't know if you heard of it. He opted for all virtual classes. So he's enrolled in Rutgers University and he's only taking virtual classes, which means he's not going to any classrooms. He's doing everything at home on his computer. They're making him wear a mask because he's not vaccinated.
While he's on the computer.
He's home in his house, and they want to see him on his screen with a mask on. And if he doesn't wear the mask, he's going to get expelled from college, from Rutgers.
That can't be serious, is it?
I'm like, it was like the masturbating on Zoom with you in your country. I'm thinking this can't be real. And it's the truth. He is 100% virtually a virtual student, no classroom, and they're making him wear a mask because he opted not to get vaccinated.
So that would be like me sitting here in this office doing it online, and they tell me, Lee, put a mask on or you're not going to pass your classes, when there's nobody else around me. I'm just sitting in a room by myself. That's even more mental than fucking anything else I've heard. That's like
that is absolutely mental. It's nuts. But that is the extent. This is how far we've been driven with this thing. This is how fucking nutty this is, that a guy on a motorcycle is wearing a mask. You know, I mean, it's just.
I see it all day. I see people in the car by himself wearing a mask every day now, driving the car by himself, got a mask on. There's two people in the car. One will have a mask on, one doesn't. I see them walking down the street, a boyfriend and girlfriend. One's got a mask on, the other doesn't, but they're holding hands. I'm like, are people just like losing the plot? Because when you're outside exercising, you don't need a mask. It's just if you go in somewhere. So if I'm out walking somewhere, I don't wear a mask. I'm exercising. But there's so many people who are out walking, exercising with their dogs, got their masks on while they're jogging. I'm like, take it off, you idiot, for God's sake. And some people, I'll be walking down the street and I got my mask off and they got theirs on. Oh, like the footpath is only so wide, but they're like fucking Spider-Man against the wall. Has he gone? Has he gone? He hasn't got a mask on. As he's walking by, they're like this.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, the people, like, this whole media is driving people crazy and causing this divide. And like I said, now, in a couple of weeks, there's going to be this whole divide between the vax and unvax. Everyone's going to get pissed off. Oh, you think you're special? You can go there because you're vaccinated, and you can't go because you're unvaxxed and shit like that. Because I'm the only one vaxxed, so I can travel. My wife got her shot a week ago, but all my friends aren't vaxxed. So I'll be like, I can go inside, just yell out what you want. I'll just send it out. What do you want? I'll get it for you.
It's like when you were underage and you're buying alcohol and you send somebody in with a fake ID.
What do you want? I'll go in and get you. You want a chicken schnitzel and some chips? Or I said, I'll be inside the restaurant by myself, and they'll be like that Garfield you put on the car window outside the shop looking in.
You know, it's really funny to see that some people who have adopted this mask as part of their outfit. You know, it's their uniform. It's like, and they have all different color ones matching, you know, different color schemes and ornaments on it and whatnot. And it's like they seriously include the mask along with the shirt and the underwear and the socks. And, you know, it's part of their wardrobe now, you know? So yeah, that's the one driving in the car alone with his mask on.
They're the ones I want to see get unherd immunity and die off. Those ones, they're the ones you want to see drop off the perch.
Some kind of Darwin Award should go to them.
But it's ridiculous. Yeah, but I can't stand it. Even when I got on, it's just so hot. It's not hard to breathe, but it does feel awkward, and just that hot air you're breathing in yourself. It's like, and if you wear sunglasses or glasses, they just fog up all the time. You can't.
What ultimately happens is that mask or the cloth, the bandana, the rag, whatever you got covering your face gets soaked with
germs,
you know, and your breath, your droplets, whatever. And the idea is that when someone is infected with COVID and they breathe or sneeze or speak or spit in your direction, then one of those droplets is going to get trapped by the mask and not go through. The problem is, the second you inhale, you've created an aerosol of all of the wet shit that's on that mask, including that droplet from the infected person, and it's going in. And then the simplest way to win the mask argument is, okay, put your mask on, take a cigarette or something smoking, take a drag and blow it at him. Smell the smoke? Yeah, they're going to smell the smoke. Why? Because it's an aerosol. It goes right through. It goes right through the cloth. And what is the minimum infective dose of coronavirus? Less than one aerosol. So that is so small, you're never going to trap it. So this poor kid at Rutgers has got to sit there in front of his computer with a freaking mask on. It would be one thing if that mask was doing something, but there's actual science that's saying it not only not doing anything, but it's probably robbing his brain of oxygen, which is making him not as smart and not as able to absorb the information he's trying to learn.
Poor kid probably wears a condom now to masturbate.
Or just to go to bed and alone.
It'd be the same thing. It'd be the same thing, wouldn't it? It'd be like Jesus. But I swear the world's getting nuttier, but the rules here now are still just as crazy, getting dumber, and it's just ridiculous. Yeah, but I'll let you know, because near the end of the year, if I travel and come home, I'll have to get that facial recognition. So I'll be stuck at home for 2 weeks. Well, there's the phone call.
Oh my God! Can you? I just can't. I mean, I have a hard enough time with the athletes I work with who are on the drug test whereabouts list that have to be at a certain place for 2 hours during the day. I think that's invasive. Mm-hmm. But to actually have the government lock you in your house with checks to make sure you're there.
Three random calls a day, so you don't know when they're coming. So, and the thing is, it's like, when this shit comes in, it's like we've always said, like where we go out now to the store, petrol station, restaurant, wherever you go, you've got to use the QR code, which tells them you've been in and been out. I guarantee 100%, if this shit finally dies off, they're not going to get rid of any of that. You'll still have to check in wherever you go. You'll still have that. They'll keep that there forever. So no matter where you go, they'll be able to track your every move. Like they can now if they wanted to, but this saves them having to look, because you're doing it yourself and it's going straight to their database. So they don't need to go to a phone company and go, well, somebody was murdered here. Can you ping his phone off the cell tower so I can see where he's been? They can just go, oh, that's right, he checked in here, he checked in there, or he drove 4 hours north and he had to check in there to get petrol, and then he wanted something to eat, so he had to check in there. Yeah, we can follow everywhere he went.
Does it lower crime? Do you guys have a much lower crime rate because you've got all this government overreach checking in? Big brother.
So I think the only reason crime wouldn't be as high right now is because you can't really go out. If you're out after a certain hour in Sydney, there's a lot of police on the streets everywhere. But as far as everything else is going, no. We had some commercials again. We had other commercials. How's this for timing? My friend Dean, he hates all this shit too. He hates government and stuff and all this. But they just brought these commercials back on TV. The gun amnesty. If you have weapons that you have not handed in yet, we're going to give you. So now it's like with all this shit going on, they've brought back the commercials again, so you don't get arrested or get fined. Any weapons that aren't registered and blah 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 and this and that, hand them in now. You have to this time to hand in those weapons. It's like, oh, we might have missed a few before, so let's get rid of the guns that we missed.
Now I read that was only 20% effective. They only got 20%.
I think that's why they're probably trying again now. With all this shit going on with the COVID shit, they know people are getting restless, so they're probably getting worried, going, fuck, we better get whatever guns are left out there.
Well, because they look at us. I mean, we're the most heavily armed country in the entire world. So, I don't know.
Taliban might have you beaten out. They're pretty well armed at the moment.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. They do have some cool helicopters.
Did you see? Actually, I was watching the news over there, I think News One and that, and the Taliban this week? Yeah, this week is going to swear in the new government, which is wonderful. Right. America has not been invited, I'm sad to say. No. China's been invited. Russia and Iran's been invited. The swearing in of this new government is 20 points, if you can guess it. September 11th. Like, how's that for a kick in the face?
Oh, wow. How about that?
And 4 of those new high-up members of the new government are the ones Obama released from Guantanamo. And the other guy who is in the government there is the one that is on the FBI's most wanted list and a $10 million bounty on his head. Yeah, but these are different people now, John. They're different people. And then what's his name? Blinken, Biscuit Blinken, the lunatic who thinks he doesn't know if he's coming or going. Did you see him on there saying, I sort of wrote down what he said, but I won't, it's not quoted, but he was sort of shocked and upset that there are no women in the government.
Yeah, can you believe that? No women.
Yeah, because the Taliban's all about women and giving women rights and shit. That, oh my God, I can't believe that. Like, how is that shocking? Seriously, it's like,
it's like what? It doesn't even surprise me. You know, it's like that's yeah.
And still, no Americans are stranded or caught there, but yet they just. I watched one thing on the news an hour ago where even some of those planes that Glenn Beck sent over, you know, that they chartered, the Taliban is not letting them go to the airport. So if you can't get to the airport and you can't get on the plane, the Taliban's not letting the planes leave. What do we call that then?
They're holding them ransom. They want money. They want money in order to let the planes leave.
So it's like a financial layover. It's not like a hostage situation. It's a financial layover.
These people are fucked. I mean, they have ways. The airports, there's planes there to get them out. They've been chartered. You know, they're private planes, private issue, whatnot. They just cannot get to the airport. They won't let them through the gates. The State Department won't do anything, and because we're completely out of there. And we are at those people, those Americans left there that are this whole idea that they say anybody who wants to leave. Who the fuck doesn't want to leave?
We're gonna hang back.
Yeah, well, who in their right mind wants to stay? That an American that wants to, an American passport holding American wants to stay there.
Or even an Afghanistani. Even if you're an Afghanistani that worked for the Americans, you don't want to stay. What about? Did you see them? Did you see the Taliban where they said now, because we're different, anyone that worked for the Americans or was on the opposition and that, you're free to come back. Nothing's going to happen to you. Yeah, okay. It's like, I'll be right there.
Yeah, well, that didn't work. That's not working out. So basically, these people are screwed. They want to leave. They can't get out. Joe Biden is taking zero responsibility for it.
He barely talks about it.
He's nowhere to be found. And Kamala Harris.
Oh, where's she?
Not only where is she, but you know that bail program that she championed. The guy got out on a domestic violence charge, and he got out on her program, and he killed somebody.
Yeah.
So now Biden,
going Kamala, all about the people.
Well, now, right, and the people are kind of, the blood is on their hands. Now, did you see Biden landed in New Jersey of all places?
And the people heckling him.
They weren't calling him names. They're calling him a murderer. The blood's on his hands.
You should have been left behind, you piece of shit. And then when he went in to give that speech, he didn't even mention Afghanistan. He mentioned the hecklers. But did you see that speech? I mean, I think he misfucked nap time, because even with his cue cards, he's like, and I want to thank Miss such. Oh, not her. Oh, it's him over here. Oh, and he's like, and then he starts rattling off shit. I don't even know what he's talking about. I mean, like the words he's making up.
He's got an earpiece. He's got somebody's talking to him. They're telling him what to do. That's why he's always disoriented and confused. He's listening. He's waiting for his next instruction. The other thing is,
and he doesn't hear it properly. I guess he doesn't hear it properly.
He's not, and he's lost. That's why he's looking around. He doesn't know where he is. He is got zero energy, none. He's always half asleep. When he's talking, he's like, "Well, I'm supposed to thank these people over here, and by God, when I was young man, and I was."
This is how I'm going to talk to you from now on, John.
With the cards.
What's that question? I'll take a question. I've been instructed to take a question from you, John Romano. What's your question?
Yeah, I've been instructed to take your question. Since the fuck when does the president who someone's telling him what to, he's the goddamn president. He tells you what to do, not the other way around.
The advisor to Trump said, in all my time I was with Trump, he goes, I never instructed or told Trump what to do. He goes, I might give advice and advise Trump, but he goes, I'd never tell him or never instruct him to do anything. You can give him advice. He might ask for advice on what you think, and you give your little bit of opinion. But he goes, never once did I tell Trump, say this, or you're instructed to say this. Never. That's like,
you're instructed to call on that reporter, and they're going to ask you this question. You got to answer. Here's your notes.
What about the one where he said, I'm not meant to take questions, but I will. What about Afghanistan? I'm not answering that. And he walked off.
And then did you see they had the close-up picture of his pocket, and he had the card in there, and it's got the reporter's picture. It's got their picture, their name, and the question they're supposed to ask, and it's all like on a little card. And who's programming him?
It's like that game. Remember that game, Guess Who? Does he have glasses on? Yes.
Yeah, but
does he have red hair?
Don't you guys wonder who is they? Who is they say that I'm not supposed to talk? I'm supposed to do. Who is they?
Did I send you that interview last week? It was like an old interview from Obama where they're talking to Obama about his presidency, and it goes, people haven't forgot. And in this interview, he's like, I wished I could do a third term, but you can't do a third term. He goes, in a perfect world, he goes, what I'd love right now is to have somebody out there like a robot type person and I could just be sitting back and they have an earpiece in and I just tell them what to do through the earpiece and what to say. And this was Obama in the interview. I'm like, well, fuck, you've got your wish, haven't you?
Haven't you? Wow. Yeah, because Biden is...
If I can find that interview, I'll send it to you, because he's sitting there saying how he'd like to have a person. He could just tell him in the earpiece what to say. I'm like, wow, what doesn't that look like? Did you see the latest one I just put up of Pasaki on my Instagram page?
No, I didn't see it.
I can't find it here, but it was perfect. She's like, she has a fraudulent slip. She says, plandemic.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Saki says plandemic. It's like so funny.
How many of those cats are going to get out of the bag?
Oh my God! Well, normally when you say that, sometimes it's a fraudulent slip, or sometimes it's the truth because it's on your mind.
Right. Yeah, that's why that's what Freud made out that the subconscious was responsible for those slips, because that's what's on your mind, So yeah. Well, I would say pandemic. Now Fauci got caught red-handed lying.
Here it is. See, I'll see if you can hear this here. I'll see if I can play it for you. That's the question.
Expecting the announcements on the reopening of the passing and offices in Washington and the consulate in Peru. And if not, what's the status of those projects?
Sure. I know we did a briefing call to provide a preview of that last night, or I believe yesterday at some point in time. I will say that the president's looking forward to welcoming the prime minister, who's already in town, as you know, having a variety of meetings today. We expect their conversation to be wide-ranging, to cover a range of topics of mutual interest, everything from COVID-19 and our efforts to address the global pandemic to regional security issues, which could include a range of topics.
She said to address the global pandemic.
Well, it is what it. It's that expression. If it walks like a duck, smells like a duck, looks like a duck, tastes like a duck, sounds like a duck, chances are it's a duck.
Yeah. The president's having a meeting with prime ministers, and she's saying they're going to discuss all topics from COVID-19 and they're going to address the world pandemic.
Well,
but even like that, I was talking about the Afghanistan for a second. Could you imagine if Trump was in right now, none of that shit would be happening. He would be dropping the biggest hellfire bombing raid on them bastards. It's like when they were all sitting in that presidential office there, sitting around like their little Lord Fauntleroy having all their photos taken, Trump would have been like, you got the coordinates for the drone? Why they're all in the presidential palace? Drop it.
Send the daisy cutter in.
Oh.
Right? See, that's
crazy.
the thing. Trump, first of all, Trump would never have pulled out of Afghanistan like the way. Well, he would have pulled out, but not the way Biden did. He had to deal with the Taliban. His deal with the Taliban was performance driven. They had to do X, Y, and Z in order for us to do this, which is going to enable them to do that, and then we do this. So it was back and forth. Trump would never have left the $85 billion worth of equipment there, functioning equipment. These morons are trying to say now that it's all disabled, that none of it works.
Oh, okay.
Nonsense.
All those Hummers we see driving down the street and the guns they're shooting and those Black Hawk helicopters, that's all just CGI, is it?
Right. So you got that. And the fact that they left people there, the military's the last to leave. Not the first, the last. You get the diplomats out, you get the people out, the citizens, the equipment, the machinery, the stuff, and then the personnel leave.
Well, even if you couldn't get the equipment out, you'd blow it up. I'm sure you'd put it in a big circle somewhere and drop a bomb in it. But what pissed me off too was, did you see all the service dogs they left behind?
Oh, man.
That's what pissed me off. All those beautiful dogs and German shepherds that save lives and that, them German shepherds, some of them are just wandering around the air base not knowing where to go. You don't think the Taliban's going to shoot those fucking dogs?
I'm sure they're already dead.
Fucking, because they really, the military treat them dogs just like a person, same as police dogs. They're treated as a police officer, or they're treated as a soldier, because that's what they are to the person, the handlers and shit. And leaving them behind was a fucking disgrace.
The entire operation was a disgrace. Every bit of it, and to hear the left proclaiming it as a success because it was the biggest airlift in history. 120,000 people got airlifted out. That's like saying the Titanic was the biggest boat that ever sailed. It's still fucking sunk, And the idea that they're trying to glamorize this and make it look like a success when it was the greatest abject failure in the entire history of the United States.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
And they're trying to say, well, Trump was going to go out, but as you said, Trump had a plan. Get the diplomats, get the people, get the American citizens, and then the military is the last to go. It's like, it's like when you watch that movie with Mel Gibson about that battle of whatever, when he said, I'll be the last person off the ground here. My foot will be the last foot to leave the soil, when they went off in the helicopter and that stuff like that. And they didn't leave people behind, even bodies they didn't leave behind. They took them all. So
yep, they took everything. The bodies, the equipment, the pieces, everything. So now what we have here, as you pointed out, with America not being invited to the Taliban, inauguration,
and the date of that too is
September 11th, which is an absolute slap in the face. But what you have here is you have Russia, China, and probably North Korea at the table.
And Iran got invited.
And Iran. And you have them at the table. Cuba is ripe for the pickings on their behalf, and they're 95 miles from Miami. So this is bad news. And this coalition of forces, China, North Korea, Russia, we don't have any alliances that are powerful enough to defend us from them, and they know Well, I mean, who's that? France is going to help us. I mean, who? Australia's going to send 1,500 people. I mean, you got China, 2 billion people. You've got Russia, 600 million. You've got a ton of people here that are against America and against Americans, against our values, against our way of life, want to topple us, and they have power, equipment, machinery, money, and the alliance is not with the United States; it's against the United States.
And
that's
sadly too, when you look at the armed forces, back in the days of Vietnam or just back in the wars, America was a force not to be fucked with. But now you look at China. Look, you just watch them fuckers march, and you think, fuck, you don't fuck with them. Everything's so regimented, like the Nazis. You look at Russia, everything's so fucking, oh my God, it's like all stern, like them fuckers are out to kill. You look at some of the armies here in Australia now, in America, some of the men are too busy putting their fucking lipstick on before they go out and fucking march. It's like this whole fucking transgender, woke ads and shit. I'm thinking, the military like China and Russia, I see those ads in America talking about gay people and transgender being in the army, and go, oh my God, let's just, if we get into a fight with them, we'll just mess their fucking hair up. They'll go to pieces. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, talk about pussified, fucking hell.
Well, look at the commander-in-chief. He's not instilling fear and respect in anyone. They're laughing at him. They're absolutely laughing at him. He cannot complete a sentence. He gets lost in midstream. And you got Putin looking at him. You got Xi looking at him.
As I said, you look at Putin. There's a guy who's in the KGB. You look at Putin, you just know he means fucking business. You look at him, if he says something, you're like, oh, fucking hell, he's going to fucking... And that's you look at Putin will go kill him himself. He has that look like, if you don't fucking do it, I'll go out and shoot the prick. It's like...
there was a great scene with him, and he went in, he unearthed some corruption, and he put everybody that was responsible for this corruption in a room, and he read off all these documents that explain, you're all caught. We know you did it. There's no getting out of it. Now you're all going to sign this piece of paper admitting that you did it and how we're going to pay. You're going to pay, give the money back. And he went around the room and he's got this himself. He's doing it. He's getting them to sign it. And this one guy signs it and he puts the pen in his pocket, I guess just out of habit, and Putin goes, give me my fucking pen. As he's walking down the line.
Like I said, I'm sure in his time in the KGB and shit, he's put a few people in the ground.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely killed a few people. Absolutely. I mean, Trump called him a murderer, and he is. But look, it's like calling a soldier a murderer. I mean, you're at war. I mean, that's what you do.
Exactly.
Okay? The point is, he's not a pussy. Biden is. Biden likes to talk tough, but Biden can barely stand up, And so we have the weakest, most feeble, most unimpressive person as the leader of the free world. And he's really not. He's really not the leader of the free world. He's a puppet being put up and controlled and maneuvered and coerced to do all the things that he's supposed to do, that they want him to do. And that's what's happening here. And
the sad thing is, Kamala, she's not as old as him or not as brain dead, but technically she's just as bad, if not worse, if she was to take his place. I mean, that'd even be a worse laughing stock if she got him, because she's clueless. She's more clueless than him, but we can't use the generation of her brain or shit. She's just a clueless, dumb female, sadly. So somehow got that position when even the Democrats didn't like her, but somehow she's got there and stuff. And then the sad thing is, when you see people like her, that other idiot will be sitting back there in years to come, that AOC and the rest of some of those people. Did you see her latest thing about where she was on talking about the abortion thing and menstruating?
No, I missed that.
Some of her stuff was, I didn't get it word for word, but she was talking about, she doesn't call them women. She calls them menstruating people because she doesn't want to upset the transgender and other. Well, last time I checked, only women can menstruate. And she says, Texas abortion law is a sexual assault on any menstruating women an abortion should they say it's my body, my choice, but when it comes to the vaccination, it's your body, our choice. And then she said, like me, this is what she says when it comes to the menstruating again. She goes, I just want people to know, like me or any other menstruating people. Who are the other menstruating people, AOC?
It's so dumb. It's just so dumb. God.
Even if you're a trans and you're going from a woman to a man and you're menstruating, you're still, yeah. That's what she said. Like me or any other menstruating people.
Well, you got those two idiots that are trying to nurse the baby. The guys trying to breastfeed the baby.
I saw that.
The social end of it. If you're not hurting anybody, and you want to think that the baby can nurse off, okay, fine. Go do your thing. Be happy. The problem is that the cumulative value of all of these lunatics make America look weak.
Mm-hmm.
Make America look weak. It makes men look not manly. Did you see China outlawed unmanly men? From TV commercials, movies, everything. If you're an effeminate man, you can't appear on Chinese media.
I got the joy over the weekend to watch because my wife likes Cinderella. So on Prime was the new Cinderella movie, John, and I got to watch this beautiful new version of the musical. And when the fairy godmother appeared, that was that black guy who was a transsexual fairy godmother. That was wonderful. So he's black guy, but he's gay as fuck and transsexual. And then when she finally meets the prince, because Cinderella's making stuff in the basement, dresses, because Cinderella wants to have a dress shop and sell dresses at the markets because women can't work. It's a male-dominated society when Cinderella was around, and she meets the prince and he's like, oh, we're in love. I want to marry you. You'll never have to work. You'll never have to do this. I don't think I can do that. That's your life, not mine. I have my own dreams. I want to open a dress shop. I want to sell dresses. I don't want to be just a kept woman and do what society says. I'm like, oh, fucking hell, it's a fairy tale. Jesus, fuck. I'm like, talk about ruined Cinderella and shit. The whole thing was about men keeping women down, but now this new women's coming out and he goes, well, that's right. We shall get married. We don't have to marry now, he says, but we shall marry. We shall travel the world first. And you can live your dreams, make dresses. And I will not be king. I'll be my own person too. And we can live our lives how we choose. Oh, fucking hell.
There's like, what do you even say about that? I mean, you got drag queens reading the kids the stories at the library.
Even like I looked at I was going through Netflix and Anne Boleyn because I like all that history stuff. And
I do too, especially British stuff.
Yeah, well, Anne Boleyn's there. We know she was a queen. She got her head cut off.
Right.
But there's this black girl playing Anne Boleyn. I'm like, well,
she was white.
I know, but I'm thinking, look, if it's something like James Bond, okay, he's a made-up character. If Idris Elba, I like him as an actor. If he wants to play James Bond, great. He could do it great because he's not a real person.
Right.
But having a black person play a real person, okay, let's get Liam Neeson to play Malcolm X in the next fucking movie. Let's get Mark Wahlberg to do the Bruce Lee documentary. Mark Wahlberg can be Bruce Lee. It's like, why do we always got to go the opposite? If it's a white male or a white female, we've got to go black or something. It's like, if they're true people, you can't do that because that's not who they are. If it's made up, sure, knock yourself out, change into female. And like Batgirl now, she's a lesbian. It's like when they try and force all this shit in where every show now, I was watching it, I said to my wife, well, this sounds like a good movie. Hold on, let me read. Because I always find a movie on thing to watch. This movie sounds good. It's about this woman and she's been possessed and this and that. But then you read further, and while she's possessed, her best friend, such and such, who's married to her friend, and then they discover how much they love each other and this and that. Oh, fuck that, they're lesbians. How do we go from a fucking horror possession movie to licking puss all of a sudden? I'm like, I don't fucking... I just want to watch a movie where I don't have to have any political shit in it. I just want to watch a movie.
Well, you can't because the Hollywood doesn't make movies for us anymore.
Oh,
They really don't. They make movies for them. They don't make them. When is the last time? I mean, where the hell is Top Gun 2? I mean, why are they holding that out? Other than that, what are you really waiting for? Remember when movies used to, the trailers from the movies were coming on, and they wait till this summer and this is going to happen. We don't get that anymore. We get all these political
what
pieces.
happened? It's like you said. What happened to the people like Burt Lancaster, Clint Eastwood, Charles Bronson, all these fucking these people when they did scenes in movies, they can fuck you up, and they were like manly men. You know, it's like they meant business. Those type of men. Like those type of movies. It's like now, yeah, okay, Statham's not bad and stuff like that, but Stallone's probably one of the last ones and shit like that. But some of these new people come along, like what's his name? The guy that's going to be the new Batman, the guy from Twilight. When he did an action movie, all I see is this little fairy from fucking Twilight, the glittery vampire, and I'm like, well, fucking, he's not too scary, is he now? it's like they're just they're very they're like very feminine men now. They're not like I said, that real rugged Charles Bronson, or even what's his name when he did even the remake of it, Michael Caine and shit like that. These are like men actors. They're actually men. They weren't scared to be men, but when it went back, a year or two ago, or even before that masculinity and men, and that this is like a no-no anymore. That strong male character is something you shouldn't be ashamed of. Like I said, here in Australia, only was it early this year when the parents got pissed off because the school made the kids stand up and apologize for being male to the girls in the school. It's like, what's happening to the world? I'm like,
it just makes us look weak. That's why China is outlawing that. China is not allowing effeminate men to take roles in commercials, TV, movies, or any media. They're being replaced with tougher dudes.
I did see too. I watched what was I watching it on? Because now it's been on TV. RuPaul the drag show.
Mm-hmm.
But now there's RuPaul the drag show is about drag queens. But now there's this woman, I forget her name. She's so brave, John. She's so brave because now she's an actual woman on the drag queen show. Because they're saying now in this new world, women can be drag queens. Drag queens aren't just men dressing up as women. A woman can be a drag queen. So I just can't. I don't know what
and a dude can work at Hooters.
They probably can.
They do. A gay dude sued and he won. He works at Hooters now.
And he probably gets time off for menstruating too.
He's probably gets pregnancy leave and menstruation. He can call in once a month because he's got.
We're laughing, but it's probably true. It'll be true. It's sad. That's the sad thing.
Do you ever wonder, like, what's this for? What's the end game? Why? What is this? What's the purpose?
I'm like you. Like, because my father's been with his partner for 40 odd years. They're gay. Like, I don't care if people are gay. If you want to live your life as a transsexual or whatever, look, as long as you're not hurting anybody, I don't give a fuck. But like I said, when they push it down your throat, or now they expect you to know there's 100 genders, and then they want you to know all these stupid fucking pronouns that I don't have a fucking clue about, and then you tell them 3-year-olds they can pick their own fucking genders and all this bullshit. And I'm like, this is just fucking nuts. Let kids grow up. Let kids be kids. When they get to teenagers, they'll know, hey, I'm attracted to boys. I'm attracted to girls. Or I don't feel like I'm a female in a man's body. They'll learn that as they get older. You don't need to put it in cartoons. But you're indoctrinating them like they do, the Taliban does with young kids. The Western people are bad and they grow up hating them and they've got to blow them up. This is how they indoctrinate. But now we're indoctrinating kids with gayness, transgenders, pronouns, bi, or you're non-binary, or you're gender fluid. Right. I'm like, I'm an adult and I'm fucking confused by it. How the fuck's a 3-year-old gonna know? They're saying a 3-year-old can pick its own pronoun. A 3-year-old can't even pick what breakfast cereal he fucking wants, and you want him to pick a fucking pronoun?
On top of that, if the little boy decides he wants to be a little girl, then he starts getting the hormones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they start delivering hormones to a kid who's decided what sex he wants to be before he's even old enough to understand what it even is.
Well, shit, imagine if I was around, I could be Leanne now, because I remember when I was young, my sister and I would always hang out and play together. My dad used to work at the Salvation Army, where people give donations. We'd go in the room where people donated clothes and we'd dress up. My sister would put on these dresses. I'd put on dresses like her. My sister would start putting lipstick on me. So here I am dressed up with my sister with a dress and lipstick on at like 4 years old. Today they'd be like, "Oh, fucking hell, we better get Lee some hormones." I think he's identifying as a female. Hey, Lee, I know you're 4, but we're going to see the doctor next week, and we can maybe talk about removing your penis. I'll be like, "Fuck, I'm only dressing up. I don't want to get it cut off."
It was just a dress.
Yeah. We're just playing makeup. It's like Halloween.
So this is where we're at. I mean, this is really where we're at, and it's a spiral down. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. And I can't understand. What I can't understand is why. What is the reason for this? What do they plan?
And the other thing
out of this at the end.
And the other thing I hate about Liz, like we said, if you want to do that, it's fine. I've got no problem with you being gay and straight. I'm going to treat you with respect and whatever. But what I hate is if someone comes to you and says, "I'm this, I'm that," you go, "That's great, but I don't agree," whatever, because you might say you're that. You might say you identify as a tree, but I see a human. Okay, so because I don't play along with your little game, you're transphobic, you're homophobic, you're this, you're a hater. It's like, no, I've got no hate towards you, but just because you feel that way doesn't mean I have to feel that way or see the things the same way. Like this gender fluent, or what's that word they use now? Something male. I think they put a word in front of male now for us men. That's some Sith male or something. And people are like, "What's a Sith male?" It's like something from fucking Star Wars. I'm a Sith Lord all of a sudden. I'm like, what the
fucking hell? What the hell are we supposed to do, man? I mean,
That's what I mean. And like I said, everyone's walking on eggshells because you say or do the wrong thing, or you're anti, you're this, you're that, you hate them. And then especially if you're in the social media these days, look how many people say something and next thing the group comes down on them. "Oh, he said this, he's putting them down," and all these hate mail and hate group. And next thing you know, they're kicked off somewhere because they're like, "Fuck, what did I say? I didn't say anything." You said she. How dare you assume that she's a she? That's like,
and you know what's really bad about this, Lee, is that all of this encompasses a very few people. It's not a lot of people.
No,
just make a lot of noise, and they got the media to trumpet their message. It's not. You would think that in America, a country of 330 million people, that 300 million of them are fucking wacko left-wing, cow-killing, green energy, tree-hugging lunatics. It's not the case. It's very few people are in this, gender-confused, green deal serving, nonsense promoting. It's very few. They just make a lot of noise.
And that's the sad thing. I think it's like race or religion. That's the sad thing. I think nobody cares what you are, whether you're transgender or what you assume you are or what you feel you are or whatever, because people have their own lives. People are going to respect you. But what it is when they push it in your face and, like you said, have a million people, 5 people say, "We want this, we want that." It's like, if you just went about your lives with what you wanted yourselves, nobody would care. Nobody would have a problem with it. You could probably do that. But you don't have to wave the flags like this and that. Or there's that one school that doesn't put up the American flag, but they got up the rainbow flag and everything else. It's like, well, it's like, what? It's like, why do you got to do that? Why push it on people? Flag. Yeah. I'm like,
it's demoralizing, Lee. I got to tell you.
I know Jimmy doesn't believe in space and that, but if there's a meteor out there and it's headed this way, bring it on.
Bring it. Bring it. I want to go.
No, I've always said we're put here by aliens. We're the rejected aliens. So we're like a program to them. On a Saturday night, they go, "Let's tune in and see what the humans are doing." Oh, get a load of this. Get a load of what
these idiots are up to. Right. Yeah. See if they're irrigating the crops with Mountain Dew yet.
Yeah, they'll be like looking down, let's go and look at them today. Can you believe what they're fighting over on Earth today? These people are fucking nuts. I'm glad we kicked them out of our colony. Look at them. we're like a sideshow to the aliens. Let's tune into China today, see what's going on. Oh, they got their shit together. China's starting to do it. That's boring. Let's get back to America. What's going on there? Oh, fucking hell.
That's funny. Fuck. It's a shit show, as they say.
And the thing is, though, you think, okay, this has got to be it. Like, you can't go any weirder or sillier, or you can't think anything different. Even when it comes to the government and Biden, that you think, okay, no more stupidity could happen. But then you're like, really? This is, like you said, the most powerful nation in the world, which I think it might lose its title soon, and it's carrying on like this. And like you said, the whole world's watching, and it's like, what the fuck's going on?
And the opportunists are gonna take advantage of the situation because
it's almost like America's like that person you looked up to all your life, or your father, or a school teacher, or someone high up, or something as a kid growing up. You respected them with everything. You'd never disrespect them. You'd always be polite to them. That's what America was like. You'd never disrespect America. It was like, oh my God, no, this and that. But now it's almost like you just laugh at. All of a sudden, this person you've respected your whole life, you find out is suddenly a phony and fake, and they've lied to you your whole life. Then you're like, I can't believe I respected you for all these years, and now you've let me down. That's what it almost seems like with America.
Yeah, you're a fucking clown is what it ends up being. It's terrible. It's terrible, and it's getting worse. So by this time next week, when we do our next show, we'll have more shit.
And I could be out of lockdown here, providing one more person gets it. Because if one person gets it, they're going to lock us down again, John. One person.
Which doesn't make any sense because you're locked
down.
I've got
an idea, people. If people in Australia are listening, next week, when we're leading up to the lockdown, to get out of lockdown next Thursday, from Tuesday on, please, anyone in my area, do not get tested. No one get tested, okay?
Yeah, if
there's no positive tests, we're safe.
The news could be bad. So, well, anyway, I don't know, Lee. I don't know how we made it through another week, but we're going to have to do it again this week, and we'll be back with the latest foibles of the world in front of our face.
And I should have my results from my biopsy.
Your biopsy. So we'll start off the show with that, but. We've come to the end of another show, and we're just as demoralized as when we started. But we hope the rest of you feel like we do, and like the show.
Actually, it makes me feel better talking about it to someone each week.
It does, doesn't it? And now that we're on Rumble, we know we can say whatever we want. So
yeah, I've got a friend at the moment. My friend's daughter. She knows these people that work with Instagram, and they got 2 people's accounts back last week. So started working on my account yesterday. So fingers crossed.
I hope so. That would be great to get. That's like 500,000 people you got.
I know. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Wow.
Again, they just take it for saying, "What if you don't like me? Don't listen to me." What's one person? I'm not going to change the world, for God's sakes.
Well, maybe they think you could.
Hey. I'm moving back to America. Vote Lee and John Romano.
Come on back.
Imagine us if we ran. How long before we get assassinated?
The first same day.
Lee and John were flying from California to Tucson to have a rally. Their plane went down over the mountains.
Yeah. They didn't get a chance to spend one night in the White House.
No.
All right, Lee, you have a good week.
John,
have a good day. And I hope all you guys are liking this new format here, and do whatever you can to spread the word. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was a good chat.